Hello there, and welcome to what is going to be more of a bit of a discussion about Domination mode for multiplayer than a full game. I'm going to show you a bit of two games, and you can see what you think, and you can let me know how you enjoy Domination mode as a spectator, and then we can also find out what everyone thinks when they get their hands on the game and they can try Domination mode themselves. So if you don't know what this is, it's a new multiplayer game mode added to Warhammer 3. I'm playing as Khorne here, the big boy faction, and my opponent is Cathay. There's 3 capture points across the map. You have to capture them. When you hold them, you get points. Whoever gets more points wins. So pretty standard Domination setup, the same as in shooter games and things like that. There is a timer, so you can't capture any points for the first few minutes. Gives everyone time to get around the map, I suppose, and prepare to try and take those points. And while you start the game with a small little army that you have a small amount of funds for, up we go. You do get a reinforcement army as well, which has its own separate amount of funds. And you can call those units into the battle as you accrue supplies. You can see at the top of the screen, there's a little timer on the right there, 752, 768. It goes up all the time and gives you more supplies. And when you get X amount of supplies, you can get one of your new units, depending on how expensive they are. So then you use those units to simply battle for the points. And whoever holds more points the longest wins the battle. First to 5,000 points or until the timer runs out. But whoever's got more points wins. Standard. Now, how is the game mode overall? It is fun. It's nice to have new game modes in Total War Warhammer that we can mess around with rather than just standard land battles. We have free-for-alls, but I don't think people really play those apart from us on stream. But yeah, I do welcome new game modes to multiplayer for sure. This game mode though requires you to break up your army into parts to go and take certain parts of the map, and that can kind of be good and bad in various ways. It's bad for factions like Cathay that really are supposed to stay put, be defensive and work together. It's very hard to do that. In this game, my opponent here gets absolutely destroyed as Cathay. Sorry for the spoiler, not that we're going to watch this to the end anyway. And when I played Cathay against Tzeentch, I got destroyed because it was very hard to protect missiles and artillery. And granted, both of us are a little bit inexperienced at playing Domination, and neither of us had played Cathay in multiplayer yet. So I'm sure there's some learning to do, and that Cathay aren't necessarily terrible in this game mode, but with their battle harmony, which requires them to be near other units and things like that, and the amount of flyers and fast units that every faction has, it's kind of hard to keep those missiles safe and use what is supposed to be the strength of the Cathay army. But like I say, maybe there's just some learning to do there. But the other side of this is that the ranked battles of Total War multiplayer has now been replaced from the standard land battles to this, which is a pretty big decision that seemed to be made pretty quickly. I'm not sure how most people feel about it. I've had mixed reactions. Some people seem pretty chuffed with it, some people not so much. In the YouTuber tournament community, people seem pretty happy with it because, well, let's be honest, Warhammer 2 ladder and multiplayer quick battles was a mess. Nobody really enjoyed it greatly. There was a lot of cheese, a lot of people playing silly, hiding in forests. And even in organized tournaments outside of ladders and quick battles, people would still kind of push the boundaries of where the rules lie, and it was very difficult for organizers to barely make decisions about the rules that were set in place and who'd broken a rule, who hadn't, with so many gray areas and things like that. It was just really difficult. So Domination does solve a lot of that for those kind of players. So if anything, hopefully the ranked battles will now be at least more fair. Whether they're more fun is the other question, because not having your army all set up in one place kind of creates a different dynamic for factions, and builds are now going to be very different to what you might normally do in a land battle. But it is good in its way because now your build is less likely to be wrong necessarily, because you can choose what units you want to reinforce with. You can choose appropriately by what the enemy has. If they've got a lot of large, you can pull out your anti-large. If they've got a lot of infantry, you pull out your anti-infantry. So it's more forgiving and potentially gives you a shot at turning the battle around. If your initial build isn't a good one for what the enemy has, you can potentially sort that out, which is nice. And it does create some pretty deep levels of strategy and tactics that you can pull depending on which units you choose to bring. But personally, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, having to break your army up so much and just having one random unit wander off to capture a point like I've got here. It's weird. I don't know. I like always using my army as a cohesive unit, one big army. I like to try and replicate battles of history, right? With big armies clashing against big armies all at once, using tactics and strategies. That's always why I've played Total War. So this, forcing the army to break up, makes it a little bit more arcadey and fun game mode, but not ideally what I play Total War for. But that's just me. I do want to play Domination, but I also do want to play land battles, and it feels like with Domination, being the main mode in ranked, and with tournaments probably going to be domination, it feels like we're not really going to see that many land battles anymore. But I guess Total War multiplayer has always been primarily land battles, and it's always been not very big. So maybe a big change like this is what's needed to bring multiplayer to life a bit, to try and grow it. And I think Domination is either going to do that and make more people want to play and try it out because it's a little more noob friendly and a little easier in ways, or it's just not going to seem interesting to them and they won't really be that fussed, and thus multiplayer will die a bit more. Perhaps it would have been better to have 2 ranked modes, one of normal land battles as it's always been, and one of domination, and see which gets played more. That'll tell you where people's interest lies, right? I'll play a bunch of this on stream, we'll play a bunch of land battles, and we'll see what we all enjoy, and from my perspective as a content creator of this game, what people like to watch as well, because if you don't like to watch these battles, I'm not going to play them and make videos of them. But if you do like to watch land battles, then I will do those. And if you do enjoy watching Domination, then I probably will make some videos of Domination if I can get into it a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I have enjoyed the games I've played. I've only played about half a dozen maybe, and I've had some games that were pretty good, some kind of close games that are coming down to the wire. One was a really big comeback victory for my enemies, but I've also had some games that kind of go badly and you're like, okay, I've kind of run out of units. He's got a big clump of strong units there that I can't really do anything about. I just have to concede because I can't take it on. And that seems like a kind of powerful strategy to kind of put everything in one place, like big powerful units, and just use them as one big death ball to roll around the map. Because you're always encountering small amounts of units, a death ball of powerful stuff can usually be very hard to stop unless you happen to have all the right tools and you can get them all in one place to combat all of the strong stuff of your enemy being all in one place. So there's some problems, maybe, but we won't see how big any problems are until you, the wider community, get a hold of it and we see what kind of cheese people find and what dirty ways they find to play, which are very much limited in this game mode. There's a lot of stuff that's been eliminated here. You can't corner camp in this game mode because you're just going to lose. You can't draw kite because you're just going to lose. You can't sit in a forest and try to force the fight there because you're going to lose. So it has solved some of those problems, but I do kind of feel like you could have solved those problems as well by simply putting one capture point in the middle of any old land battle map. And it could have kind of worked in a similar fashion. I don't know. We'll have to see how it all goes. Let me know what you think though. As a multiplayer person yourself, if you do play multiplayer, how do you feel about it? Are you excited to try this? Are you not excited? Are you sad that land battles aren't the main mode anymore? And if you don't play multiplayer, how do you feel about it? As a person who watches these battles, do you like watching multiplayer battles even if you don't play them yourself? Are you excited to see some domination battles? Have you found this footage interesting to watch, even though I haven't really been following it properly? There's been other creators who have made videos on Domination. Have you enjoyed their videos? There was a little tournament, I think. Did you enjoy that? Let me know how you feel about this game mode. I know a lot of content creators are very happy with it. It's very popular. I am happy to see it, but still a bit skeptical in ways, just because of my love of field battles and having 2 kind of historical style big armies clashing into each other. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the video. Ciao.